parang nakakabahala talaga lahat ng nangyayari ngayon. Sunod-sunod siya eh. And you see that mapapaisip ka if it's a deliberate attempt on part of government to do these actions.
Yo, what is up, guys? And you know us, we're back at it again with 7:30 lectures. But this time, we've got a special segment for you on the different social issues that we're facing in our political landscape today.
So I guess I just like to highlight the episode title today. I take my phone and speak truth to power. Now it's a very serious title, unlike our previous episodes. Nonetheless, it really speaks volume on as to the gravity of the situation today. And that's exactly why we're here, talking about very relevant issues.
And we're really happy to have two special guests with us today. One from Ateneo de Manila University and another from the University of the Philippines, Diliman.
So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Mr. JB Beharin, the president of the student government and a third-year political science student at the Ateneo de Manila University, and Mr. Nino Macababad, a former classmate of ours in Xavier, and a second-year business economics student at the University of the Philippines.
Hi everyone.
Hello, everyone. I hope all of you are doing well.
Why don't we just cut to the chase? Our country is experiencing really shaky conditions. And besides the ongoing coronavirus issue, I think there's a lot of press happening with the anti-terror bill plaguing the political conversation. So given that you both are our guests, could you give the audience and us an overview on the anti-terror bill? What are its contents and why are students so against it?
If you look at the contents of the bill, well, it's a new version of the Human Security Act of 2007, which is supposed to be the country's safeguards against genuine terrorist activities, which is actually a real problem in different parts of our country, especially Mindanao. The problem in this current version of the bill is that, first, it creates an anti-terror council composed of executive officials, which designates terrorists. So they get to say whether a person is terrorist or not. And this is quite problematic, especially in the context of our current government. That's why the fear of students and many individuals alike are up in arms for this bill. Kasi yun yung takot nila, especially under this government which stifles dissent. And it's clear in being so defensive about criticism instead of actually correcting mistakes or clarifying what could be misconstrued by ordinary individuals. So with this anti-terror council coupled with the vague definition of terrorism plus parameters which could lead to a lot of human rights violations. If I'm not mistaken, a person could be arrested for up to 24 days without being brought to court. And I think that's very problematic and could lead to, like what I said, human rights violations. So, and especially in the context of the pandemic, where I think people's anger is just super aggravated right now. This is the second issue that we've faced. So there was also the ABS-CBN shutdown that happened a few months ago. Plus, especially the pandemic response of the government. So this is all mixing up and now being seen in the anger of ordinary individuals.
I think what JB said are very good points. I'd like to capitalize on them, especially on the legal aspects of it and how I understand how our legal systems right now work. What's important for all of us right now is I think we come to a consensus that we all like to stop terrorism. I think that's the clearest line that we have right now. We don't want terrorism anywhere in the country, most especially in Mindanao. Because we know that terrorist acts are impediments to the development that the government of the Philippines, even in the past and present presidencies, have wanted to have. That's very clear. However, it also begs us to question na, are these so-called terrorist acts out of just the intent to actually spread fear? Or is it so that the problems and the calls for the people in Mindanao for development be heard? There's a clear delineation between wanting your problems to be heard and just being a mere terrorist, so to speak. And I think the aim of the bill is to actually stop the terrorists, not the activists, not the ones who want to call for accountability, but the terrorists themselves. But we see in the bill that there are provisions that are very questionable. For example, what JB said is right. We need context. The timing is questionable. We're in the middle of a pandemic. And so why prioritize this instead of focusing on our healthcare systems? instead of having doctors to lead the response to the pandemic. So, firstly, there's a provision in the bill that states that anyone that the Anti-Terror Council believes and deems to be a terrorist according to their criterion can be held up in jail for certain period of time. I think that is more than 3 months or around 3 months without being presented to court. So that thing in itself is very questionable. Why? Because you have the right to due process, firstly. Secondly, we all have the right to be presumed innocent until we're proven guilty of whatever charges are hurled or accused against us. And I think this is the red flag, so to speak, into the anti-terror bill because the Anti-Terrorism Council is made up of military generals, both present and former, and other executive officials of the government. But our constitution guarantees that only the judicial courts, only the judiciary, can determine if there is probable cause for us to be arrested. And clearly, that's not in the anti-terror bill. What the anti-terror bill says is it's the anti-terror council that tags you as a terrorist. It's the
Yes.
anti-terror council
Mhm.
that determines if you are fit in the criteria. And where there is the platform for you to defend yourself. When in fact, for 3 months, you're detained on mere suspicion. Secondly, what worries me the most is how the government implements the laws right now. They're going very technical as to how things should be. When the law should be the law of the just, of what is right and what is for the people. And I think that clearly is something that isn't seen here. We want to stop terrorist acts, but how do you even say that one is a terrorist? The government right now is in a state of red tagging, randomly and openly just tagging different organizations as terrorists just because of the views that they hold. For example, Sister Mary John Manamzan, she was just widely red tagged by a government official and certain government officials to be part of, let's say, the Communist Party of the Philippines, which is tagged as terrorist by the government. And that's very alarming, so to speak, because we need to know that we're here to hold the government accountable. And the government shouldn't be onion skinned about everything. Because if not for the activists, if not for those who dissent, who call out the government on what they think is wrong, then nothing will happen. Government will just continue to do what they are currently doing right now. And we're scared. Why? Because even if the Duterte government is over, the fact that the anti-terror bill is passed into law and is already a law can just be abused by any administration, by any law enforcement agency. And that should be a precursor to martial law. We all know what happened with them. They used the law against the people, and obviously the people were defeated there because the law. We hope that the House of Representatives passed their own version of the bill. But because the president certified this as urgent, what they did was to pass the exact version that the Senate passed.
Could you guys give us a brief set of your thoughts on what the implications are for our generation, for us students? What would be the worst case scenario?
The worst case scenario, I guess, is you're tagged as terrorist and you get arrested just like that. And that's scary for students and teenagers because we're still undergoing education. We're still undergoing school. So we're expecting that you're gonna get a lawyer and you're gonna get bail filed and you're gonna undergo all these legal intricacies that honestly you're still learning about or you wouldn't even know about, but because you said something constructive could be misconstrued as terrorism. That's the point exactly with this bill. Parang there are no safeguards against these fears that I've just raised and you guys have raised.
If we don't push back and tell the government, hey, government, listen to our concerns. We all like to stop terrorism, but there are certain provisions in the bill that are very faulty. We're being given all these avenues of education to learn and to see and to analyze situations. It's high time that we use them. As students, there's no other time to practice what we learn. And the best time is now.
It's probably a good thing that you highlighted, like how we make our choices, how the government allows us to make these choices, especially in a democracy. So, in line with this, amidst like all these other issues, another one that we can probably highlight on was the Maria Ressa and Rappler case. No, like
Yeah.
it was just ironically enough, it was around a few days after Independence Day
Independent. Yeah.
when their case was given a decision and they were handed a guilty verdict. So a lot of media outlets out there highlight the Maria Ressa case as the end of democracy in the Philippines. This is a direct quote from Al Jazeera. And I guess both Ateneo and UP, right, and the other institutions under it, organizations under it, have both issued, I guess, statements about this topic. What are your thoughts on this? And I guess how can you see college students in both of your respective institutions talk about this and react to this?
Before the Maria Ressa case happened, you're correct, no? It happened after Independence Day. But during Independence Day, Ateneo actually held the protest alongside with UP in our respective campuses, which was admittedly very difficult because of the coronavirus pandemic. So we needed to adjust and have physical distancing, which we don't usually do during protests. So to just get our message across to motorists and to media outlets to reach our countrymen, parang nakakabahala talaga lahat ng nangyayari ngayon. Sunod-sunod siya eh. And you see that mapapaisip ka if it's a deliberate attempt on part of government to do these actions. But then again, this Maria Ressa case should be contextualized in what has been happening in the past. Government led by this president has attacked ABS-CBN and Rappler multiple times. So it really becomes a press freedom issue, which is highly debatable among many circles. But then if you look at the facts of the case, the law is being used in a technical aspect, is being used to weaponize critics and people that are against the ones in power rather than uplifting those who need to be uplifted. I think the Filipino people have the ultimate responsibility to continue to uphold rights. As Independence Day happened, napapaisip ka, what's independence for if these things are happening to us? But then again, independence is something continuously fought for. It's not something you just celebrate. And I don't even think Filipinos celebrate Independence Day that often. It's just another holiday. But then that's what independence is for. It's a continuous struggle. This fight is not only for us, which are individually airing out our concerns. It's a collective concern because future generations of Filipinos deserve something better. And definitely, they don't deserve this political environment.
Tama yung sinabi ni JB. Very, very valid. When media is there to inform us, media is there to invite us to look for the truth. And what JB said is that we should hold the government accountable. If needed, should call them out. And we should be wise consumers of media information as well. And this is basically what Maria Ressa has been trying to say. If you notice her interview in her press con right after when the decision was promulgated, she said everything is in context. All of our concerns are valid because there is context. If in the past years government has been forcing media to only report what it wants to hear, then where there is the principle of accountability? It's as if government is trying to tell us, or tell media rather, that you should only feed people the information that is favoring the government. You shouldn't give people avenues or the other side of the coin, for example, to spot what's wrong in the government. And if we can't spot anything that's wrong with the government, how can people be partners with the government in building a better society? So as college students, we need to be careful also. We need to watch out for all these things that are happening. Because, tama nga si JB, we're continuously fighting for independence. Because we truly aren't independent yet. And it shows. It shows. Pogos, the repressive government we have, it shows. Because being truly independent, personally for me, is seeing that people less fortunate or people who need to be voiced out more are given the opportunity to speak up and to develop. And that's what media is about. Media is all for the truth, and if that is the truth, even if the truth hurts, you have to speak up with it and improve.
So thanks for that, Nino. And I guess I kind of came across this word, chilling effect. I guess in the legal context, it talks about the inhibition or the discouragement of legitimate exercise of your own rights. And I think this is applied particularly to the right to free speech. And this word is usually used in the United States. And I guess it applies in this situation since you have a government that actively inhibits the free speech of certain individuals, people like Maria Ressa. This was aimed towards people from ABS-CBN, and this was also targeted toward normal people who are politically vocal on social media and so forth. And so, with the anti-terror bill, people can be deemed terrorists even if obviously they aren't. So, I guess the chilling effect really gives me the chilling effect with regards to how everything is playing out in our country. Again, thank you so much, Nino, and thank you so much, JB, for participating in this forum with us here today.
We want to extend our gratitude to the two guests that we had for today's episode. We really appreciate the insights and the opinions that they were able to voice out. And we hope to have this kind of engagement in our future episodes as well.
And like and subscribe to our pages at YouTube, Spotify, and Facebook.
And stay tuned for future content and future avenues to really express yourselves as college students. That's what we're really about.